This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from. It is a big old Tuesday in the Oilers land, and of course, this video, I will be quite transparent with you, is pre-recorded, so folks, don't fry me if this is not something you want to hear today. Obviously, if I have seen news to the contrary, this video will not make it there, so if you're hearing it, clearly I have not. Anyway, friends, Nils Lundkvist and the New York Rangers. Why are we talking about that? Well, simply put, is if you scroll hashtag Oilers on Twitter all Labor Day long weekend, you see quite a few. Every fourth or fifth tweet there for a while on Sunday and Monday was, hey, shouldn't the Oilers be interested in this? Hey, shouldn't the Oilers be looking to make a trade here? And that's where all of a sudden I'm just generating a topic off of kind of the fan requests on Twitter. I mean, there was even one guy tweeting the Oilers saying trade Puljujarvi for Lundqvist and let's make it happen. But we can simply go back to square one here and just kind of start clawing together what's going on. I do not claim to know what's happening on the New York Rangers side of things for the 22-year-old Lundqvist, who was drafted first round, 28th overall in the 2018 entry draft for the New York Rangers. Put up a goal, 3 assists, 4 points in 25 games this season past, averaging 13 minutes and 56 seconds time on ice. And you know what? A 15 block effort, 15 hit effort, but 3 takeaways and 15 giveaways. Kind of the culprit there, I'm sure, in some sort of metric for the Rangers in looking to move on from this player, if that's indeed what they choose to do. But for Lundqvist, a guy who averages a negative .95 Corsi 4 per 60, so that's a tough go for him there. And secondary to that as well, even strength expected plus minus a -4. So yeah, that's numbers aren't looking great, but at the same rate too, he's 22 years old, and by any means, you heard me mention Puljujarvi's name off the top of this video. That is not what I'm looking to trade by any means. The imagination for Nils Lundkvist. You don't just problem in, problem out, and hopefully that settles the score on both sides. No, no, no. But folks, if you're new to the channel, just take the next whatever I've got left in the video to consider hitting that subscribe button. Forgot to do that around the 50-second mark, which is where I normally throw that in for myself. But if you could be so kind to consider that, and if you're returning and you like the topic so far, let me know with a like and let's carry on. Right, Lundqvist is a guy who potentially would be a fit for the Oilers, being that he shoots right-handed. He's 5'11", 187. So if you're looking to replace Tyson Barrie, well, okay, that guy fits the portfolio pretty dang well for the Edmonton Oilers at current. Obviously, you're not looking to free Tyson Barrie out for him, I don't think. But at the same rate, too, it's not necessarily the worst case scenario to find Tyson Barrie out and a guy like him in. For the Rangers, right, they've got some cap space potentially available to them. Shattenkirk's dead cap, like they got a lot of dead cap on their roster, 3.4 million, and really no candidates that are going to be on the long-term injured reserve. So it doesn't look like they're trading Tyson Barrie straight up for Nils Lundkvist would be the solution there, but I'm sure there's some kind of something to be worked around for a guy that's getting paid $9.25 for the next 2 seasons, so cost certainty for the Oilers. However, again, are you going to trust a guy on the right-hand side on your third pairing D if you do indeed trade for him, who's got 25 games under his belt? That's it, right? Again, this is where it's tough for the Oilers, is they get linked to every problem out there, and obviously we'll probably discuss Jake Virtanen at some point if there isn't any news on that today. But folks, it's one of those things, right? The Oilers, for the better part of the past 15 years, have had the rap as the team that loves to drag in other teams' problems to try and solve them, just to dump them mid-season because they're even worse than the Oilers possibly could have fathomed, quite frankly. And I mean, that's the tough part here for the Oilers. And I'm not saying that Nils Lundkvist at 22 is a write-off and send him back to Sweden never to be heard from again. That's not what I'm saying. But simply put, for the Oilers, when every time some team's looking to get rid of a player and the Oilers fans jump to the conclusion of that's who we should be acquiring because they're looking to get rid of them, yet every time we have a problem is just dump them for nothing, right? This is where it's tough for me, is everybody always wants to go and acquire the problem, but as soon as we want the problem, they just want the problem to fall off the face of the earth, get rid of it, like give me nothing and I'll be happy. And the reason that continues to happen over the span of things is you want the player, you want the player, you want the player. The player is a problem like you're told he was, and then you just, well, we gave up an asset, but let's get rid of him, right? Fair enough. And that's not necessarily true of every problem player that's been brought in for the Oilers. That was not true of Ryan Spooner by any means. And I mean, there's several others. I mean, the one that I kind of come up to on this one, this Nils Lundkvist thing, is, right, he's a guy, young guy, 25 games under his belt, isn't looking to have a future in the Big Apple. And, right, a guy like him comes to Edmonton and hopefully it all works out. That's kind of what some people are hoping for here. And you look at that and you kind of look at Valentin Zykov. And I totally forgot about that name until all of a sudden I heard it the other day because of Mr. Vinny Desharnais choosing the number 73 to represent the Oilers this season. But you look at it there, Valentin Zykov was a guy that at the time, plus if he turned out, but ended up being negative for the Oilers, really never amounted to being anything in that 18-19 season, rather just an obscure offshoot of what was an obscure season for the Edmonton Oilers over the past 5 years, and now, right, all lost in history. But again, players that have high upside, right, and Valentin Zykov at his start of his career with Carolina Hurricanes did have that high upside, and end of the day, right, you think, oh, I can do something with it, and it doesn't pan out. He was a waiver claim for the Oilers, but I mean, if you're going to trade assets for Nils Lundkvist and hope it works out for a right-hand shot rookie defenseman, more or less, that's going to fit in on Tyson Barrie's spot if you trade him, right? The math to fit in Nils Lundkvist and give him the opportunity he's looking for outside of the Big Apple is, of course, the other side of the equation that just doesn't make sense for me. So, end of the day, I can run around the topic as much as possible. Nils Lundkvist to the Oilers, it is nothing more than a fan dream on Twitter right now, and I think that is where it should stay. Is not necessarily coming down on the player or the person that is Nils Lundkvist. It's just the reputation of the Oilers in developing players that come in as a guy who wanted out somewhere else, as a guy who didn't deliver on expectations somewhere else, is not good. Ken Holland's kind of learning from the mistakes of the past and building a better team. You don't need to go out of your way to go revisit ghosts of how it used to be done. That's all I'm saying on this one. And I think the hard pass is completely fine if I'm not mistaken. So folks, enjoy your evening. I've got bowling. In fact, if this video comes out at 5:15 p.m. on Tuesday, and I will be sitting at work, working away on the computer until about 6:30, and then head down to the bowling alley with cash in hand to start this bowling season on up. Folks, I'm Tyson, this is Dolynny TV, up on, out of here.